And we communicated with the state at length on developing this table. And every community in the state of North Carolina has to be at least as strict as the state. Nobody can require less than the state. And in South Carolina and North Carolina, the state laws are very, very similar. And it goes back to those 3 points that I mentioned at the very beginning. Number one, to keep pollutants out of the storm sewer system to the maximum extent practical. That's what you need to do. If you do that everywhere you go, then you're going to be okay. And you need to make sure you're not contaminating soils and groundwater with your activities, and you're complying with all state and local laws. So if you're out there pressure washing and you're pressure washing an Exxon gas station down there in Monroe, then you don't want to pressure wash that oil off from around those pumps from get cars that'll leak. You don't want to let that go into the storm sewer. That's a pollutant. So you want to collect it and properly dispose of it. Just common sense. If you use that sort of common sense, that's going to get you through about 95% of the issues out there.
Question here in the front.
Based on what you just said, we as contractors would sort of like to look to the county and the city to lead by example. And you're saying the first primary thing is to not let pollutants go down the storm drain. Yet, in your own ordinance, you're allowing certain amounts of pollutants to go down the drain. Now, we're talking about silt and mud and stuff that we're supposed to screen through a piece of pantyhose. But street water washing, again, it's not the water coming out of the fire hydrants that bothers me. It's the cigarette butts and the pollen balls and the silt and the dirt that are in the gutters. That fire hydrant water is going whoosh, right into the storm drains. So the city and the small municipalities have one set of rules, and then we come in and everybody goes, okay, well, you have this set of rules. I mean, we have to sweep a parking lot before we wash a sidewalk. We have to clean the water before it goes down to the storm drain. But again, city, county, state facilities have their own set of rules that's much more unencumbered than ours are. I just feel like there needs to be a balance, a little bit better balance somewhere.
Well, I mean, do you have a specific question though, as far as, I mean, you said several different things.
Well, it's all about the enforcement needs to happen. There's no question about that. I've got kids, we like to play in the water. There's not a question that enforcement needs to happen. But it needs to be very, very evenly graded across the board. It shouldn't not apply to a street washer because somebody doesn't think that that's that much dirt. I guess in December there probably isn't as much pollutant going in there, but it's May in the Carolinas, and there is no such thing as clear water here. It's all yellow right now.
That kind of gets to that maximum extent practicable thing. Okay, let's take today. There's a lot of pollen on the road, and let's say that a street washer comes down the road, and he's cleaning the streets, and he's pulling some of that material up into the vacuum unit as he's going along. Well, when it rains tomorrow, that pollen that's on the road is going to be washed into the creek, but because that street washer went by there, he's removed a lot of it. So he has reduced it to the maximum extent practicable. And also the thing you need to know about the city is they routinely clean the storm drains. They go out there and vacuum them out, and they try to keep them clean so that that stuff that's in there won't end up washing into the creek. So it's an effort of trying to suck up, remove, clean up as much as possible, clean what's out of the pipe to keep it from moving downstream. And your point about holding them to the same standard, that law applies to everybody. And I've issued notices of violation to the county managers, and I've done that before. And we have held our own county facilities to the very same laws. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, we found out they were going to wash a county parking deck and let the wash water go into the storm drain. And we stopped it. And we said, you can't do that, it's against the law. So does that mean that the city and the county always obey the law? No, they're human, they make mistakes. But by golly, if we know about it, we hold them to the same laws that y'all are held to. And if you see a city or county facility breaking the law, you need to let us know, because we will get out there and enforce the law.
I think this is going to be the last question because we're running out of time. We saw the demonstration, but go ahead, sir. I got two things. One is kick off what her question was. I mean, you know, we have the oil socks. I mean, they have, you know, ranging in size. I mean, when they flush out the fire hydrants and everything, why can't they just put a sock in front of it to, you know, stop the oils and stuff that's on the roof from going in there?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Depends on where
Sometimes
they
they do, and
are.
a lot of times they don't.
Yeah, true.
Now, the second part of this is, are y'all going to go to the schools, the churches, the clubs, and any athletic groups that holds car washes? I mean, because in cities this large, I mean, there's probably over 1,000 car washes in the summer in a business parking lot, and nothing's being tracked or even filtered going into the storm drains. They're washing, you know, 1,000 cars. Now, are y'all going to, you know, go to those groups and educate them in this?
Yeah, training, like I've said before, training and education is a huge component of our program. As far as charity car washes, the state and the city's permanent anyway, I'm not sure in the counties, charity car washes are listed as an exemption. Now, localities can be more stringent than the state. So what we've done in Charlotte's ordinance is say we don't want to tell Boy Scouts and cheerleading groups and churches that you can't hold fundraisers washing cars because that's just not a civic-minded thing that we want to do. But we want to at the same time meet the goal that we're trying to achieve, and that's protecting surface water. So what we've done is say at any one location, we're not going to allow charity car washes to take place more than once in a 30-day period. What that does is it prevents repetitive discharges at the same location, through the same pipe, the same creek. It kind of spreads it out. So it allows the exemption, but at the same time it's more restricted. We think it's better at meeting the goal.
Well, I mean, you know, what I'm saying is, like, you know, Robert talked about the old socks and stuff like that. I mean, you know, they don't cost, you know, it doesn't cost that much for those things. And I mean, they're reusable. So, I mean, you know, why not tell them, okay, look, you can have your charity car, you know, charitable car wash.
We are meeting with elementary schools. We have met with them. When did we meet with them? Last week or the week before? And we tell them the best management practices. So if you're getting it, we tell them that, we do.
But some municipalities, Aaron actually knows a little bit about this, they actually have a little more extensive program as far as working with charity car washes and actually provide kits to the car washes, charity car washers that consist of pumps, filters that they can use, so it's cleaning, helping to clean up the water. That's something that we can definitely look into.
Or simply just encourage more people to contact the local car washer from the time. So.
Last question right here.
One comment, I think that you touched on, gentleman in the front. I believe that the new ordinance was switched about a year and a half ago that says that everyone involved in a situation where there's a violation can be fined. So if a restaurant hires me and I get a fine, the restaurant can get fined, the owner can get fined. Is that correct?
It's possible, although we try to.
Well, I think it's imperative for the people in this room that the public is educated about that. So the first question somebody asks when they call the pressure washer is, do you do water recovery? So if the public is educated, you know, the people that aren't here aren't going to get hired.